This here is a broken GTX 770 which I bought on eBay for parts not working. It was listed as this because it was crashing in games, but it would install drivers and run Windows just fine. Before I get into this video, let me know, have you ever cleaned a graphics card, whether this is just applying fresh thermal paste to get it back up and gaming, or whether you've done some soldering to replace capacitors or memory chips, something like that. Let me know in the comments down below. When it comes to graphics cards, crashing in games is never a good sign, and before I bought this one I sort of knew what was wrong with it because the warranty sticker on the back of it had never been punctured, and this means that it's likely never been taken apart. And this usually results in very bad thermal paste on a graphics card, which can result in crashing in games as the temperature of the card gets way too high. Before I get into this video, I have to put in a disclaimer. Do not go out and buy a graphics card on a whim that you think you can repair it. It's not always the case. I have repaired a few graphics cards that have had issues similar to this, but this isn't a surefire way of repairing one. Other issues may be afoot here, like bad memory or even a bad GPU core. It's mainly down to the look of the drawer here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get this here in my test bench before I clean it out or anything like that, and I'm going to see what sort of issues replicate themselves. And if it runs just fine, I think I'll probably give it a repaste anyway, because it probably won't be running too cool. But if things are running fine, happy days. But if the issues arise, we'll have to have a look into them, and I'll document it in more of a vlogging style. So let's cut to that. So here we have the GTX 770 all hooked up and it's waiting to be turned on. So let's just short these two pins here. There we go, it powers on just fine. The fans are spinning and everything. Let's see if we get a oh, there we go, we've already got a display out. Hello there. But yeah, it looks like it works perfectly fine. Displays, no issues, no artifacts, anything like that. So yeah, next task is to get the drivers installed and see whether this thing actually crashes in games. I suspect it will because of high temperatures, because it's never been taken apart or cleaned, anything like that. So yeah, let's just see how this thing gets on. So right, I am getting some weird issues with it, and it's just like really unresponsive. I have to say, it's just not responsive at all. See, like I'm gonna press, like I'm spamming the Windows key here, and yeah, it's just all weird. Before the drivers were installed, it was just fine, but as soon as I've installed the drivers, it's just acting very weird. So what I'm going to do is maybe give it a VBIOS flash, but I'm going to clean it first in case if this is a temperature related issue, because it's just taking ages to load anything, or like I can't even get up HW monitors to see what the temps are like. I could try and get it up now perhaps. So right, after about literally 10 minutes of loading, HW monitor is loaded up and it's reporting back that the GPU is using 0 wattage and it's at 40 degrees and it's using 950 millivolts, but it's using no watts, which makes absolutely no sense, and that is literally impossible. So yeah, I reckon it is a VBIOS issue with this thing. So I'm going to get it cleaned because it still needs a clean, and I'm going to flash a new VBIOS onto it and we'll see if it gets any better. And this is where I get all my VBIOSes. Tech Power Up, these ones are verified, so they are working VBIOSes. They won't send like 5 volts to the GPU core and fry it, sort of thing. So it is a placeholder image as well, but I've confirmed it is the MSI GTX 770 Gaming is the one we have. So yeah, let's NV flash this onto our graphics card. So it's the next day, because when I was testing it, it was pretty late at night and I was getting pretty fed up with this thing because it was just giving me so many random crashes and stuff like that. It was really starting to get on my nerves. But I strongly suspect the memory on this graphics card is gone bad, or it's about to completely die completely. Elpida memory was never renowned to be a good manufacturer, and I've seen loads of graphics cards with their memory go quite bad recently. So yeah, I had a GTX 760, an Asus one that had Elpida memory, or however you pronounce it, and the memory on that had very similar issues as this graphics card, but it was to a much worse extent. Another reason why I think it's the memory as well is because I dropped the memory down to about 2500 megahertz, and Unigine Heaven ran pretty flawlessly for about 2 minutes, and then it conked out after that. So I could lower the memory on this thing to get it more stable, but at this point I'm kneecapping this GTX 770, and the performance is going to be nowhere near as to what it should be. Outside of dropping the memory clocks, there isn't much I can do. I could replace the memory if I wanted to, but it's just not economically feasible, as this is a very old graphics card now. If it was something on the, let's say the 30 series Ampere, it might be worth replacing the memory on them, but on a graphics card this old, it's really not worth it at all. So this is why you shouldn't buy a broken GPU with the hope that you can repair it. It's not always as straightforward as a simple repaste. Sometimes I have been lucky with the R9 290, which I bought sometime last year. That graphics card, all it was just bad thermal paste on it, and I cleaned it all up and it ran flawlessly after that, and I flipped it in a build. But when it comes to this one, it's not as simple as just a repaste. So I was hoping that I could have repaired this graphics card up and made a benchmarking video on it, because the last time I tested the 770 was back in 2020, I believe, so it was quite a while ago, and I wanted to see how this thing would have performed in 2023, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen today, because yeah, this memory is pretty busted. From here I've got 3 options. I could try to repair it, which is not looking likely. I could just put it on a shelf as a display item, which is something I could do, or I might sell it on eBay in a job lot of broken GPUs which I've got, and as long as you sell it for parts not working and you put in a disclaimer that all these GPUs do have issues, it's totally fine to sell them on eBay, because a shop that needs them as a donor board perhaps, or someone that's got better tools for me, could repair them up. So yeah, that might be a good course of action. I might get a bit more money back on it. So, and on that rather sad note, I'm going to leave this video here. So if you like this video, like it, stay subscribed for more content, because I do have some working GPU benchmarks in the works, so make sure you stay subscribed for them. And I'll catch you in the next one.